Hi everybody and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. This post is from the subreddit Am I Wrong? And it's by user TAByfriend342. Am I wrong for being upset that my fiance sent my intimate photo to my best friend? Something crazy happened in the last 2 days and I'm not sure if I'm reacting correctly. I want honest advice on if what I am feeling is valid or my boyfriend is correct for what he did. My 24 female fiance Mark, 25 male, and I have been dating together for 2 years. Mark has always had a problem with my best friend Jacob, 24 male. Jacob and I have been friends since as far as I can remember and have always been very close. Mark says that he is jealous about our friendship because Jacob clearly lacks boundaries when it comes to me. However, Jacob is gay and Mark knows that. Mark and I have had many fights regarding Jacob, and I did try to put safe distance between Jacob and me. However, Jacob is very flamboyant and loves hugging and kissing me on my cheeks. He does the same to all the girls in our friend group. I understand where Mark is coming from, but Jacob is almost like one of the girls in our group and he doesn't mean anything weird. The issue happened this Friday. Mark and I were at a party at my friend's house where Jacob was also attending. We were all having a fun time and Jacob at one point hugged me from behind and lifted me in the air. I asked him to put me down and he did it immediately and apologized. He then did the same to one of my friends. She loved it and we all continued having a good time. Mark was standing on the side and saw this. When we got home, I was tired and slept immediately. Mark was up when Jacob messaged at 11 p.m. Jacob messaged to apologize to me and asked if I was okay based on how I reacted when he touched me. Mark read the message, which is fine since we have open phone policy. However, this is where things got weird. Mark took the phone and messaged Jacob, pretending to be me, that Mark did not like that he did it, and he should avoid doing it when Mark is around. Jacob replied saying that he knows Mark is jealous of our friendship and called Mark an insecure baby. Mark got angry, but instead of getting into a fight, Mark replied as me and said that he agrees, and I also feel the same about Mark. He started subtly flirting with Jacob and telling him that even though he is gay, I sometimes think about how it would be to be with him. Jacob responded to flirting and Mark sent Jacob an intimate, non-nude selfie from my phone that I had taken for Mark. Jacob also started sexting and telling me that although he is gay, he would love to make an exception for me. He also said that he has been thinking about me for many years and suspects he may be bi. Mark eventually ended their conversation, and when I got up in the morning, Mark handed me the phone and told me that Jacob has been lying to me the whole time and he has feelings for me despite being gay. I was really shocked and felt betrayed by Jacob. I have let my guard down around him because I knew he was gay and started replaying our entire friendship and all the instances he was extremely inappropriate with me. I went to Jacob's house and told him that Mark played a prank on him and how disappointed I was. Jacob was very apologetic and kept on asking me if I truly had feelings for him, as he does want to be with me. We had a big fight and I left. When I was in my car on my way back, I realized that Mark also was very inappropriate with Jacob. Firstly, he outed Jacob as bi by pretending to be me, and secondly, he sent an intimate photo of me to Jacob. I confronted Mark and he said that it was the only way he could have gotten Jacob to trust him and spill the beans. He said that he always suspected Jacob had feelings for me based on how he looks at me, and he just took a shot and baited Jacob. Mark also said that Jacob has seen me naked, which he has when I was in high school, in the past, and sending a non-nude selfie should not be a big deal. I agreed with Mark at that point. However, the more I think about it, the more I am conflicted if what Mark did was okay. He pretended to be me and talked to my best friend. He then sent a photo from my phone to him, which I would never want anyone, except Mark, to see. I am also conflicted if I am being homophobic and being angry at Jacob because he never told me he was bi. Well, OP, if I was in your shoes, I would be upset at both Mark and Jacob. I understand you have open phone policies, but that doesn't mean that Mark has the right to just start sending messages to other people pretending to be you. And regarding Jacob, you had set boundaries with him, but he didn't respect them and kept on doing what he did. So again, personally, I'd be angry at both and I would reconsider my relationships with these people. Let's start with Mark. What happens the next time he gets a bad vibe from one of your friends? Is he gonna impersonate you again and try to catfish him? I mean, this instance, quote unquote, proved him right. Also, what's gonna happen when he feels that you may have a vibe with someone? Is he gonna impersonate them to try to catfish you? The way I see it, regardless of whether he was right or not, trust has been broken. And regarding Jacob, again, you had set boundaries with him which he did not respect. And this is totally aside from the fact that he's questioning if he's bi or not. So again, OP, if I was in your shoes, I'd be pissed at both of them and would reconsider both my engagement and my friendship. And what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments section, and now let's check out the community comments. Venegan says, everybody sucks in my opinion. Mark for impersonating you on your phone while you slept. Jacob for lying about his real feelings and insulting your partner knowing full well the things he did would piss him off and drive a wedge between you two. You for not recognizing the signs sooner and writing up another man's inappropriate behavior as one of the girls when it clearly made your partner uncomfortable the entire time. Mean Evening 7209 says, that's a tough one. So on one hand, your boyfriend was completely right this whole time. On the other hand, he committed a massive invasion of your privacy to prove it. I would stop and think about what led to this situation because this isn't the behavior of a normal person. So I would assume the circumstances are extraordinarily. Do you feel that Mark began with reasonable concerns and requests? Also, how long did this go on without being resolved? Because I might give Mark some leniency if this has been happening regularly for a long time and his concerns were never actually resolved with a conversation. Because I'd be hard pressed to find someone who would be okay with another person openly attempting to flirt with their significant other for a long time. If this happened very quickly without Mark attempting to communicate, I'd be less inclined since that's such an egregious violation of trust. Regardless if you decide to stay with Mark, I'd make it a point to say that you'll be sure to take his concerns seriously, but to never do that again or the relationship will be over. And Cosmetic Brain Surgery says, Jacob is a lying creeper and you have double standards. What Mark did was invasive and deceptive, but his intent was to show you that Jacob was using you for his sexual gratification. I don't believe the end justifies the means, but I believe the intent may somewhat mitigate the act. Letting a man handle your body in front of your fiancé just because that man is gay, whether he is or not, is wildly inappropriate. It doesn't somehow become okay because the guy is gay. So the community is all over the place between everybody sucks, it's a tough decision, and the means maybe justify the end. I stand by my original commentary. So now let's move on to the update to see how the story ends. So a lot of people are messaging me for an update. Let me start by saying that I take my engagement with Mark very seriously. I am a strictly monogamous person and I would never do anything that would make him upset. Mark told me that he did not like how Jacob touches me 1 year into our relationship and I immediately told Jacob to stop. However, Jacob is an integral part of our friends group and I cannot just stop being friends with him. I always maintain my boundaries, but I agree that sometimes they are blurred because Jacob is gay. Jacob has only dated guys so far and I never had any reason to suspect that he would want me to cheat on Mark with him. That is absolutely disgusting above everything else. After the incident, I was really heartbroken and felt betrayed by Jacob. Jacob kept on calling me because he wanted to apologize and explain his side. However, I did not want to see him. He made one of my best friends talk me into talking to him, but I declined. Finally, Mark told me that I should talk to him because he may have been drunk that night and not thinking straight or just got carried away. I agreed to meet Jacob but told him that Mark would be with me and my best friend also joined us. We met in our apartment yesterday and all of us just sat silently for a while. Jacob told me that he was drunk that night and was in a flirty mood. He was feeling bad based on how I reacted when he tried to lift me and wanted to apologize for it. However, after I replied and started talking to him, he was having fun and just made those comments. After he woke up, he realized how horrible it was to say those things to me, considering I am engaged. I asked him why did he not apologize to me immediately and he was silent. He did not try to blame Mark for causing a rift in our friendship and told Mark that he understood why he did that and also apologized to him. I asked Jacob if he really had thought about sleeping with me in the past. He denied it, but I could see that he was not completely truthful. I asked him if he has slept with any other girls in the past, and he said that he had. He told us that he had slept with 2 women in the past, but he did not enjoy it. He thinks he is not bi. However, he said that he always appreciated the person I was and does have deep platonic feelings for me. He told me that the women he slept with were just random drunk hookups, but he sometimes wonders what it would be like because he cares for me and has always wondered how it would be if he was with a woman he finds attractive and who he cares about. He then went on to tell me that he finds me attractive but in a platonic way. Mark immediately interrupted him and told him to cut it off. He again apologized to us and told us that it is hard to be gay and come out as bisexual as both women and men hate you. I do not claim to understand what that meant, but I saw a lot of comments on my post where people said that. And I told him that I had warned him about touching me inappropriately in the past because Mark did not like it. However, after what I know now, his actions from last Friday were completely inappropriate. If any of my other guy friends touched me in that way, I would have not only slapped them, but never talked to them again. I told Jacob that I love Mark and I feel violated by what he did to me during the party. I told Jacob to leave us alone and think about what he did. He again apologized and told me that I would never understand how difficult it is to be gay. Regardless, I have decided not to talk to Jacob. However, we have not told any of our friends about the incident or our meeting. Regarding Mark, I really thought about his actions. As much as I was upset initially that he impersonated me and sent that picture to Jacob, I know Mark would never do it unless it was a nuclear option. From his perspective, Jacob assaulted me that night in front of everyone and got away with it because he was gay. Mark told me that he always suspected Jacob was giving me special treatment, and as a guy, it is easy to see those things. However, he respected my friendship with him and also knew I took every step to keep healthy boundaries. However, when Jacob messaged me at 11 p.m., Mark knew something was off and did what he did. I forgave him. If his hypothetical girl best friend messaged him at 11 p.m. and touched him inappropriately, I am sure I would have a worse reaction than Mark. I still love Mark and I am glad he did what he did to protect me. Well, OP, I really do not agree with your final assessment regarding Mark. I think the first commenter is absolutely right and everybody sucks here. I don't think Mark should get a free pass on this one. He did what he did to protect you. He impersonated you and sent a private picture of yours to somebody else. He used your phone to do that. But then, of course, it is your decision to make. So I hope you don't come to regret it. Take care, OP, and thanks for sharing. And now let's move on to the next post that also has an update. This post is from the subreddit Relationships and it's by user Prestigious6155. My 26 female boyfriend, 26 male, wants me to pay all the rent and bills while he only pays for some groceries. We have been together for 2 years. We've decided we want to move in together at the beginning of next year. He wants me to pay the rent and all the bills, utilities, electric, internet, and he only pays for groceries. He makes more than I do, but has more expenses than me, so I technically end up with more spending or saving money than he does. I think this would make sense if we were married and truly combined our income, but it's just our first time living together. Even though I have less expenses, it still seems unfair that I would pay about $1,400 to live there and he would only pay $350 for groceries. He also says I should still set aside about $200 for groceries too, so we can buy better quality food. To me, it seems he just can't afford to move at all then. He currently still lives with his dad, where he pays no rent or bills there. His biggest expenses are his car payment and a loan to pay off from fixing his car and spends about $80 a week on gas. But he insists it makes sense for me to pay that much since we're a team. But I just have a bad feeling about it. The ratio is just so big it seems like I'd be better off just moving into a bigger apartment by myself. Or just stay in the one I have already where my expenses are nearly half of that. Is this truly fair? Is it really a good idea for me to do this? What? No, OP, not at all. This is not a good idea. It is not fair and I really don't understand his logic, unless his logic is to take advantage of you and just live off of you. I honestly don't care what his expenses are. He's an adult, he should be responsible, and if he doesn't have the money to pay his fair share when moving in with you, then he doesn't get to move. And he shouldn't try to guilt you into covering for him because you're a team. No, not yet you aren't. So OP, I wouldn't do it. And what do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's check out the community comments. Gone Baby Thoughts says, trust your gut. He is not acting in good faith or partnership by asking you to front the majority of your shared living expenses. It's a bad idea and you should stay in your current place while seriously contemplating your financial values compatibility. Electricity Biscuit 86 says, this man is telling you right up front that he wants to be a freeloader. Believe him. You say he makes more than you but pays no rent or utilities, etc. So how do you end up with more left over at the end of the month? I'd be worried he has significant debt he's hiding from you. Also, the fact that he's being so unreasonable before you even move in would have me worried about what happens once the lease is actually signed. Even if he reverses course now and agrees to split things evenly, what's to stop him just not actually paying his half? It'll be, oh, sorry babe, can you cover me this month? XZY excuse suddenly came up, no doubt. Just don't move in with him, and if for some godforsaken reason you feel you must, sit down and look over every detail of his finances before you do. Where is his money really going? And Spaz44 says, do not take on more than your recent current expenses to have him live with you. Ideally, moving in together is financially advantageous for both parties. In no way does the situation you've suggested make sense. If he's that crap with money to be in major debt without having to pay any rent, then take that as a sign to run away. Do not move in with him until he has straightened himself out. Either his car is way out of his budget, or he's got a drug or gambling problem and you don't need to be subsidizing any of that. So the community agrees that OP should not move in with him under any circumstance and that something weird is going on in the background. So now let's move on to the update to see how this story ends. Thanks everyone for your responses and giving me validation. I definitely have a lot of clarity now. I decided to tell him these concerns directly again. He was annoyed at me and went on about how I'm overthinking and that I don't love him if money matters this much to me. I even brought up the situation of it being just a roommate. Would that be fair to him? He literally told me that he had roommates before where they paid that unfairly. Right. I told him someone was getting screwed over. He's just disregarding everything and acting like he is absolutely right about it all. This honestly is really heartbreaking to me because otherwise he has treated me well. He didn't change his stance at all besides just saying that he wished it wasn't this way and that if he had more money, he would pay for the majority of everything. He keeps telling me he's willing to do anything to be with me, and that's why he's so upset that I won't agree with this. He says the advantage is just the fact that we will be together. Of course, I want to be with the person I love, but it doesn't override that it doesn't make sense and he can't afford it. I don't think I will be moving in with him. I don't know if our relationship will last after talking about this. I really wish we could find a way to work it out. Also, I agree that he absolutely has to be hiding other expenses because it does not add up that he can only afford $350. He told me he could only afford $350 and still have $500 left for spending. So actually, he wants to ensure that he still has spending money for himself instead of making it fair. He wanted us to combine our spending money left over. I feel like he tried to manipulate my emotions so much in this situation that it's hard accepting someone you trusted and had so much love for would resort to that. Like, just be honest. Have respect for me that I'm even thinking of this seriously at all. Overall, I won't be moving in with him anytime soon, but I am now pretty heartbroken and have to think things over with him in general. Well, OP, the good thing is that he showed you all his cards before you guys moved in together and signed anything. I would take this as a universal red flag to just run away. So here's wishing you the best in the future. Thanks for sharing and take care. And now let's finish this video with a quick mood booster post. This post is from the subreddit Malicious Compliance and it's by user Carcosa. Drive up. Okay then. I was at the drive-thru of a coffee place in Canada that is named after a hockey player who is far more famous for his donuts. I pulled up to the speaker and started to order my drink, donut and the pack of hockey cards that I seemed to be addicted to buying. Could I have an XLT with 2 milk? I started my order already wondering what card I'll pull. drive up. Now, I knew logically the person on the other end was being impatient and had assumed I only wanted a drink. But I'm tired of the phrase, "Sorry, I'm not done with my order yet," so I drove up. The cashier told me my total and handed me the debit machine and was surprised when I said that I also wanted cards and a donut. I think the kicker was when I said, I assumed he couldn't hear me, so told me to drive up and finish my order. It was a minor inconvenience for them and didn't add more than half a minute to the wait behind me. I'm sure they won't learn anything from this either. Well, OP, they told you to drive up and you did. If they don't like it, that's their problem. Hopefully you got a good card. Thanks for sharing. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. Now, if you've gotten to this point in the video, I assume that you like these stories that I'm reading out. So here are a couple more that you might enjoy. And if you don't have any time to watch another story right now, save it for later. And also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.